Look at all the new free agents coming this way. You had a thought before the break.
Yeah, so we were talking about the you asked like what's the thing? What's something that they're missing?
What is the thing?
Missing from the Kings? And I think this team has it. And I look at the roster, and I'll read you the roster here in a minute. And they made just a dramatic turnaround this last year. And the year before, they got in as a play-in team and made the playoffs. And this last year was one of the best teams in the league. I'll read you the roster: Steven Adams, Kyle Anderson, Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks. I mean, good players.
Yes.
Good players. Brandon Clark, Jarrett Culver. Well, they now have Danny Green. Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyus Jones. Of course, John Morant, their big feature player. Killian Tilly, Xavier Tillman.
Is Killian Tilly one or two players? That's one.
And Zaire Williams. Yeah. Talent. I mean, there's talent. There's no doubt there's
John
talent.
Morant is, and the funny thing about that particular team, Jason, is that John Morant, there's no doubt, is the best player on that team. He is their star.
Right.
And they were like
irreplaceable.
26-4 without it.
Right. So to your point of wringing everything out of the rag or the turnip, you're getting everything. It's
a great pull.
And
Taylor Jenkins deserves a ton of credit for that.
When you're, before a season, the GMs have rosters up there. I go, yeah, Memphis, there'll be some fight in that team, but you picking them to be the 2 seed?
Nope.
Picking them to have 58 wins?
Nope.
So maximizing what you've got. Again, John Morant, everybody would take him. Lovely player. Great. Jaren Jackson's he's doing the right things, getting better and better. Dylan Brooks has a lot of edge to him.
Yes.
Actually, I think he's one that you'd want to fight if you're on an opposing team. But that's a team that it's not a huge market, drafted pretty well, but developed. And then just sometimes you get a guy like Kyle Anderson on that team. Kyle Anderson on that team, though, looks really good. Brandon Clark. Okay, just every little piece just seemed to make a lot of sense. The guy they even moved to get Danny Green, DeAnthony Melton, went to Philly. He was a nice player. They just have a lot of good, tough players.
DeAnthony Melton was actually I
think it's a nice move for Philly, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. That's what the DeAnthony Melton move. It's one of those under-the-radar moves. And I'm not sitting here saying DeAnthony Melton's going to be what's going to bring them a championship.
Yeah.
But DeAnthony Melton with the minutes. This is a guy that just played 22 minutes a game.
But was always impactful. And they dealt him for Danny Green, who shredded his knee. I didn't quite understand that from Memphis. I do for Philly.
Really like that move.
But again, that's a team where, we're not talking about Steph and Clay and like supreme talent, Giannis, Holiday, Middleton, all these all-stars. This is a team that gets everything out of every game.
As a Kings fan and as somebody who we all analyze this team, my brain has started to develop over the years a method of a journaling, if you will. When Luke Walton was coaching this team, a lot of times people would say, Dave, do you really think Luke Walton's a good coach? And my go-to answer was always, I don't know. I don't know. On one hand, he's done nothing to impress me. The most impressive thing I always thought Luke Walton did was keeping the locker room together through some terrible times. Nobody ever complained about him. You never heard anything about locker room strife or anything like that. Like, he was a player's coach. But in the end, despite his record being, I think, the best since Rick Adelman, we love to point to that and it ticks people off. But in the end, despite that, obviously failed here. And it's still, I don't know. Because is he 31-5 with a team that my mom could coach in the Warriors, or is he sucked here? And then Alvin Gentry sucked here.
I think there's something, and people don't like to hear this, but it's the honest to God truth. Some coaches are really good at developing, and there's others that are really good at managing teams that already have guys that can play.
That's right.
And I think Luke Walton is one of those guys because he's been a player in the NBA, similar to like what we've seen with Steve Kerr. When Steve Kerr had young guys, it's not like they had great records in Golden State for 2 years.
No.
I think Steve Kerr is the type of coach that is really good at managing veteran star teams. I think Luke Walton, had the Kings had 3 All-Stars and they brought him in, would have had much better, not just because, he had a better roster, obviously, but he's not really a developmental coach, if that makes sense. Where you look at someone like Kenny Atkinson in Brooklyn. Great job developing young guys, but when they got the veterans in there, it was clear he was not the answer.
Mike Brown was very, very good in Cleveland record-wise with LeBron James. In fact, his worst year was 45-37. He had 2 50-win years, a 66 and a 61-win year. Then was 41-25 with the Lakers in his first year there. They won the Pacific. That was a shortened season, obviously. And then went 1-4, was fired, went to Cleveland, was 33-49, and was fired after 1 year and missing the playoffs. Still 33-49. They were third in the Central.
And that was without LeBron.
That's correct. Yeah. And that was without LeBron.
And they changed GMs and so on and so forth, yeah.
I go into next year with Mike Brown as the head coach of this team. Is Mike Brown a good coach? I don't know. And what I mean by journaling is you start to keep a tally of things. And let me get to Monty McNair. Though I am of the opinion that Monty McNair has done a pretty good job at cleaning up the prior regime and is doing what he can incrementally to improve this team with the assets he has, you also have to journal the other things. For example, didn't get anything for Bogey.
Okay.
The screwed up Bogey transaction before that. Didn't seemingly get anything for Dante DiVincenzo. Hired Mike Brown. And what I mean by that is not a slight at Coach Brown, but it does trigger an alarm in my head when I see that Steve Clifford went back to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I see that Hardy went to another guy they were looking at, went to Utah.
Darvin
Ham goes to the Lakers.
Yeah.
So all these guys that the Kings were looking at, they all have jobs with other teams, and we're going to watch them. When Hardy is kicking butt with the Jazz and he's the next Taylor Jenkins, we're all going to look back at that, drafting Keegan Murray and not Jaden Ivey. Now, again, we don't have answers on a lot of this stuff, but in my head, I'm keeping a tally.
Oh, it gets evaluated.
Sure, because we may be sitting here 2 or 3 years from now and going, you know what, we never got out of the rut, not just record-wise, but even when we were hoping that we were getting out of the rut. No, because this, and this. Look at all the misses. We may be in the middle. We did not know we missed when we drafted Thomas Robinson, when we drafted Jimmy Fredette, when we drafted Marvin Bagley. We didn't know at the time. It took years of hindsight, and we may very well be still in that nightmare as we speak right now. That's the sick truth of things.
I completely agree.
Yes.
This Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report just put this tweet out, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. Not sure if this has been reported yet, but I'm told Danilo Gallinari's guarantee date has only been officially moved back to July 8th, which would suggest Atlanta is still looking to expand the DeJounte Murray trade as Hawks look for further John Collins, Kevin Huerter deals. Is that something, again, we keep hearing the Kings linked to John Collins.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Kevin Huerter being your starting shooting guard.
Oh, I like that's more exciting to me, honestly, than Collins.
But what I'm saying is, what if you could get both?
Huerter and Collins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can.
And I think you can without giving up a ton. Like, I think your big players that you're sending out are probably Holmes and Barnes and Filler, and you would have to send out a first-round pick.
What does Gallinari have to do with this again? What did I miss
Because
there?
he's part of the Spurs trade?
Yeah, but he's on the Spurs now, right?
Right, but his contract this year is not fully guaranteed. So they have until July 8th to say the Spurs or whoever would acquire Gallinari and be like, nah, we don't want you. Only it's a partial guarantee.
Okay. Well, Barnes, Lamb, and Holmes for Collins and
Lamb's
Huerter.
a free agent.
Oh, that's right. Stupid.
But I think Barnes, Holmes, Holiday, and like Harkless. And then at least one first-round pick you have to give up. At least one.
Let's see.
Probably two.
No, Barnes, Holmes, and Holiday works.
Just the three?
Just the three. Works for Collins and Huerter. I agree with you. You'd have to throw in like a 2025 first-rounder. You can't throw in a 2023 first-rounder. You can't do it. You cannot give up your ticket to Victor Wembanyama, even if it's a tiny ticket.
I feel like if you have that, if your starting lineup next year rolling out as Fox, Huerter, Keegan Murray, John Collins, and Domantas Sabonis, if you're a lottery team, you're like at 13 or 14.
I got to say this, though, as much as I do think Collins is a potentially really good fit for this team.
I think Huerter's a great fit.
I agree with you, too, but then I go back to this. If you're going to acquire John Collins, then why didn't you draft Jaden Ivey? I keep getting stuck on that because then you go Ivy and Fox, and then you put Collins at the 4.
Unless you feel Keegan Murray can play the 3, which, again, Keegan Murray feels he can play the 3.
But why am I getting scary deja vus of Marvin Bagley can play the 3? And I know it's different.
Because it's 100% different.
I know it's different.
Nobody outside of Vlade Divac in this world thought Marvin Bagley could play the 3. There's a lot of people that think Keegan Murray can play the 3.
including Keegan.
Including Keegan Murray.
I think Keegan, and by the way,
I don't think Marvin thought Marvin could play the 3.
Keegan Murray certainly can play the 3. He certainly can.
Collins could also be a small ball 5 if Sabonis gets in foul trouble.
Yeah, you can certainly. It gives you front court depth, which isn't a bad thing.
It also makes you a lot longer with Keegan Murray at the 3, which is something this team has just desperately lacked on the wing is length. And I think, is Herter 6'6"?
He might be taller than that.
Yeah, I think Herter might be 6'7". Again, gives you a big 2 guard that can shoot, which again...
He's 6'7", $198.
At the 2?
At the 2, which makes him an inch shorter than your 3. So you're going to go 6'7" at the 2, 6'8" at the 3.
6'9" at the 4,
6'9" at the 4,
center.
7 foot at center with De'Aaron Fox in there. That's an awfully big team, sure. Who are you guarding, dude?
What do you mean, who am I guarding? I don't play.
Who are they guarding?
Well, that's
Who's
been a
they?
problem. Mike Brown's just got to get the most out of that defense like he did with the Warriors.
Woof, woof. I mean, woof. W-O-O-F. W-U-P-H. Woof. No.